This is the story of what happened to astronaut Ryan Hale, a veteran astronaut who survived 24 hours in space completely alone on November 19th, 2021. The mission was supposed to be simple, a 6-hour solo maintenance task outside the station to inspect and repair one of the solar panel arrays. It was the kind of operation he'd trained for dozens of times. But space, as it often does, had other plans. Ryan suited up carefully, checking every piece of equipment twice. His oxygen levels were full, radio communications were strong, and the suit's internal heaters were functioning well. He gave a thumbs up to the team inside the station as the airlock opened. Then, with a gentle push, he floated out into the void. The silence was absolute. Earth curved peacefully below him, blue and alive. The station's exterior shimmered in the sunlight. Ryan moved slowly along the surface, clipping himself to safety lines, approaching the malfunctioning panel. The first sign of trouble came 37 minutes into the task. A warning beep echoed inside his helmet. It wasn't loud, but it froze his blood. He looked down at his suit display. It was the backup communication system, not the main one, but it showed a signal drop. A temporary thing, he thought, maybe just interference. He continued working, using a small tool to release one of the panel locks. But the signal drop wasn't just in his helmet, it was real. Back inside the station, his voice began to break up. His suit's transmissions turned to static. A few seconds later, they lost him entirely. To Ryan, it felt like silence. He tried to reach mission control, then the crew inside Horizon, but failed. Only his own breathing echoed in the helmet now. He paused and turned his head. The station was still there. So was Earth. But in that moment, something shifted. The peacefulness of space suddenly felt like isolation, not peaceful, empty. Still, he didn't panic. He was trained for this. He checked the tether, still secure, then began the slow crawl back toward the airlock. But just as he passed one of the bars holding the solar panels, suddenly he felt a sharp pull. The safety rope broke because one of the safety clamps had been damaged during the repair. It gave way without warning. Ryan's body jerked backward. He reached out, grabbing at the metal handrail, but his glove slipped. And then he was floating, weightless and free. Not fast, but enough. Drifting, helpless as the station slowly pulled away from him. Or rather, as he drifted from it. His heart pounded. He tried to stay calm, to control his breathing, because he knew he had to somehow survive in this empty, isolated space until Mission Control found a way to reach him. He looked back at the station, still there, still close, but getting smaller. Back inside Horizon, chaos had erupted. The team was trying to reconnect. Mission Control in Houston was using powerful satellite systems to find out his exact position. Ryan knew the station orbited Earth at 17,500 miles per hour. He was moving at nearly the same speed, but not exactly. Even a tiny difference could mean miles of separation in minutes, and that's exactly what was happening. For the next hour, Ryan floated, slowly tumbling, unable to stop himself. His oxygen was fine, still at 82%, but his body began reacting to the stress. His hands trembled, his jaw clenched, his breathing became shallow. Inside his helmet, the only sound was the rising static of fear and his heart pounding. He tried to focus. He switched his HUD to manual positioning mode. A small joystick allowed him to adjust orientation. With slow, careful movements, he stopped the spin, but nothing could stop the drift. 1 hour became 2. Now he couldn't even see the station clearly anymore, just a distant shape. The mission clock ticked on. The Earth still spun beneath him, but Ryan was now alone, truly alone. Then came the worst moment yet. A second alarm. His CO2 levels were rising. The suit's scrubbers were working, but the pressure inside was climbing, slowly but steadily. He tried everything, resetting the filters, rerouting backup systems, but nothing worked. By hour 4, Ryan was speaking to himself, trying to keep his brain grounded. He read out numbers on the HUD, quoted training manuals from memory, anything to stop the growing fog in his mind. That's when the hallucinations began. They don't come the way most people think, not as visions or voices, but as moments where reality seems to slip out of hands. A feeling that someone is behind you, a tap on your shoulder, impossible in a pressurized suit, but you feel it anyway. He still hadn't panicked, not fully, but he was close. His oxygen was now at 48%. His suit temperature had started dropping. Power was running low. Then, out of nowhere, came a sound. A real one.
Ryan, do you read?
Mission Control had reconnected. They had finally gotten a signal through. Weak, cutting in and out, but they had managed to lock onto his suit's transponder. That small signal was now the only reason they could track him. Relief hit hard, but it also gave way to something else, because now they had his exact location, and it was bad. Ryan was drifting more than 3 kilometers away from the station. Even at full speed, no rescue suit could reach him in time. The best path they could plan would take at least 6 hours to get someone to him. He had less than 5 hours of oxygen left, so he was still alone, still stuck, and the clock was still ticking. Mission Control asked him to confirm vitals. He gave them what they needed: oxygen percentage, suit pressure, internal temperature, and visuals. But there wasn't much to see. Earth was still beneath him, beautiful, cold, and unreachable. The station was just a dot now, shrinking more with every second. Then, something unusual came through from the control center. A question, more like a suggestion. They asked him to check the emergency nitrogen jets on his suit. He hesitated because these weren't built for situations like this. Every EVA suit had small cold gas thrusters, not for movement across space, but for adjusting body orientation, tiny shifts, or righting a spin. But they weren't rescue tools. But Mission Control said, if used right and at the right angle, they might be able to slightly change his path. Not enough to reach the station. That was impossible because the station was also slowly moving away from him. But there might be another target, one of the relay satellites in nearby orbit. It wasn't a great option. Satellites weren't made for this. No docking system, no entry hatch. But they were solid, had edges, beams, panels. If he could reach one, he might be able to hang on. They ran quick calculations. Engineers checked trajectories. One satellite named RELO-7 would pass within 200 meters of his current drift in about 10 minutes. It was a slim chance. He'd need to fire 2 precise bursts from the nitrogen jets. One now, one part way through. No real steering, just faith in the numbers. He prepared. The suit was switched to manual override. HUD set to trajectory mode. Numbers danced on the screen. Then came the call. Firing window in 3, 2, 1. He tapped the control. The nitrogen jet gave a soft hiss, a puff of gas, pushing him gently. It felt like barely anything, but in space, even a small nudge is everything. Now he drifted. 10 minutes of holding still, breathing slow, not moving a muscle. Then the shape appeared, far ahead. Relo-7. Just a dot at first, then a shape, slowly getting larger. The second burn had to be perfect. He waited for the countdown. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. The second burst pushed him again. Tiny, but just enough. The satellite grew larger in his visor. Long arms stretched out from its body, solar panels like wings. It wasn't spinning fast, but it wasn't still either. He got ready. 30 meters, 20, 10, and now. He braced and reached out. His glove smacked into a bar. He caught it. His other hand latched on. He wrapped his legs around the frame and squeezed, holding on like his life depended on it. Because it did. He didn't say anything for nearly a full minute. The control center kept checking in, calling his name, asking if he could respond. Finally, he took a breath and whispered, "I'm here." His hands were shaking. His whole body was tired, but he was alive. He was stable. Rallo, 7 wasn't a safe place. No heat, no air, no protection. But it was solid. It was something to grab. And now that he wasn't drifting, the rescue team could finally plan a real path. They suited up. A crew launched from Horizon. It would still take them hours to get there, but now at least they had a target. Ryan powered down everything that wasn't essential, dimmed his display, turned off lights, basically tried to conserve energy as much as possible. His oxygen dropped below 20%. The suit's CO2 filters were struggling. His thoughts began to blur. At times, he saw shapes in the dark, thought he heard his daughter's voice, dreamed of his family, laughter, his name being called. The last hour was the hardest. His hands were numb, his vision faded. He barely felt his breath anymore. And then, just before losing consciousness, he saw it. A light in the distance. The rescue crew. Horizon was rising into view. He smiled, barely. Then, everything went black. When Ryan Hale opened his eyes again, he was inside the med bay, wrapped in a blanket, breathing mask on his face. His suit cut open, monitors tracking every vital sign. His wife nearby looked up and whispered, "Welcome back." He didn't respond, just smiled. He had been out there for nearly 24 hours, alone, drifting in space. He should have died, but somehow, with nothing but a few emergency jets, a cold satellite, and sheer determination, he made it home. And that's it for today's story. If you like this story, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Thanks for watching.